Yeah.
And just this high prices and all this valuation, and I understand the success fees, but somebody has to pay the bill at the end. I mean, if the company like Pixar doesn't work out in the future.
Yeah, but it did. Yeah, but Nabisco didn't. Pixar worked out, Nabisco didn't. Pixar worked out, AOL didn't. Pixar worked out, Daimler Chrysler didn't. Most of them don't. When you pay 3, 4, 5, 6 times more than the ship can legitimately support, short of some miracle, they don't work out. And they blame it, most of the time they blame big mergers, etc., on culture, which is true. But I mean, if this half of the room was Nabisco, and this half of the room was everybody else, the Nabisco assets and brands were gold, it's shit money. And then, but you guys bought all the turds over here. Of course the culture's not going to work out because you hate these fuckers. They diluted your pension plan. You're going to have to retire instead of at 58, 66 now. That's where the culture breaks down. Not just because you can't get along, but because half of the deal thinks that, that they were worth not merging. A classic example is PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I mean, this is classic. You heard the guy yesterday say, I'm a Cooper's mine. That's not what they call the firm. Not for almost 20 years they haven't. And because I was a Cooper's mine myself, but the guys on the Cooper side were the worker bees, legend has it. The guys on the Price Waterhouse side were the erudite Parisians. They had 60 or 80% of all the Fortune 500 companies as clients. Coopers had everybody else. But your fame is based on Fortune 500 companies. And so there was huge clash between the cultures. And Price Waterhouse were in the money centers, New York, Chicago, Boston, London, etc. The Cooper's guys were out in the field, with the farmers, oil guys, etc., like that. But to this day, the Cooper's partners, and it was obvious in the phone call. I mean, if I don't know, I know Price Waterhouse guys. You didn't even mention not one fucking one of them. You didn't want to hear that I knew, the deputy chairman of Price Waterhouse. He wasn't interested in that. And I couldn't remember, they had co-vice chairman. One was a Cooper's guy and one was a Price Waterhouse guy, and I couldn't think of the Cooper's guy's name. I'm going to check that out. But make sure, get from Kim, I told him I'm gonna email Billy and ask him myself, and I'm gonna we got to send him Ronnie Klinkskill's phone number, and what's Billy's last name?
Already called him, Atkinson.
Atkinson. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Billy Atkinson. We got to make sure, and I've got Ronnie Klinkskill's number. Kim would have it because I talked to him. But I didn't drop all the Price Waterhouse guys. That was that's the last thing he wanted to hear. He was looking for comfort, which I gave it to him. And your board, those are the kind of guys and gals you want that know those kind of people. So not only when they're applying to acquisition candidates, other board candidates, and referring you out to banks, etc. And the more they feel comfortable with you, the more they'll give you. And towards the end of just before I got thrown out, I mean, I could ask anybody professionally to represent us on the board, all the governor's contacts. I mean, I had at my disposal. which made my job much more easy because they used to ask Governor Kerry, how is it that the Kuwaiti government has a major stake in their company and they're searching for oil in the Gulf of Mexico when they got all the oil in the fucking world, and they used to make jokes about it. But the bottom line is we had it. It didn't really matter what the fuck. But some of the guys, the engineers and the financial people, got their feelings hurt because instead of just like a man, we get our own goddamn money. We ain't getting the goddamn raghead money or the fucking Japs. Unbelievable how they could. They would rather. Would rather not rotate to the right. Would you rather not rotate to the right or make whole? Would you rather not make whole or make whole? It's a fucking simple question, yes or no? Well, okay. Fucking jab. Fucking, and I'm ashamed to say nigger ragheads. That's what they call the Middle Easterners. I mean, you talk about bias, fuck. I mean, it's alive and well in Texas, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. And there was a guy named Billy Bob, who was a big independent oil producer, arguably one of the biggest in the United States. And I mean, he was a Ku Klux Klan guy. He used to ride every Friday night, still with the shit. I mean, everybody knew it. And they'd burn crosses on shit, and they never hurt anybody. But I mean, burning crosses on church lawns and shit. You can do without that shit for sure. And coincidentally, no matter how many people witnessed it, there was no witnesses ever. We think they were. We think, but what was the license plate on those trucks? It was dark. You couldn't see. It took 6 hours to build the fucking cross on this one deal. I mean, with boards and carpenters and shit, and cars driving back and forth. They must have done it in the middle of the night with a no moon or something. I don't know how they did that. It's unbelievable.
What you explained about the merger was, you know that before starting, right? I mean,
yeah.
There was some example when I was working on French bank, commercial bank, buying investment bank, and they were calling the other guys the farmers, and the other guys were saying we're going to kill their Ferraris before we do the merger. So if this did still happen, and
yeah.
I mean. But
it still gets done.
Yeah, but it's going to not
fail.
Yes, exactly. So
9 times out of 10, it's going to fail.
Why do you think the Pixar deal worked out?
Because they were successful. They had, they had some of the best movies or animations, whatever you call them, that were ever done.
Do you know what kind of arrangements they made with their talents?
No, I don't know. But I know in the beginning. How many Toy Stories are there? 3. For the first one, whoever those actors were, the voices, they may have gotten $1 million the first time, 10 million the second time, and God knows, they probably got points of the movie, percentage of the movie the third time. And and it's easy work, animation work for actors when they just do voices. I mean, that's an easy gig. I mean. Just, and a lot of actors turn to voice stuff because it's so easy and it's so lucrative. You can still get paid $3, $4, $5 million to do a voice in one of those animations where they'd be lucky to get that in a regular movie, and it's a lot harder work. I mean, the animations, everybody's working in a sound studio, air-conditioned, whereas in the movie you got to go on set, you got to go out there on location, and it's a pain in the ass. Okay, what are the B school? What? We got one more? Yeah, who? We had 2 Pixar, and we had 1. So that's it.
Virginia.
Virginia, but we haven't gone for it. Should we do it today?
Yeah, yeah. So what Virginia one do you have?
We have the Arcadian microarray tech being purchased by Sierra Capital Partners. They're looking for 60% equity for $49.
Okay, well, then, if you haven't done it, do it, we'll do that after lunch. We're gonna during lunch. Okay, now, what do you want me to do between now, me? Okay, this is, not open time, but this is time for all the other funky questions, and I'm sure Dom's got, he was gonna ask me what the success fee again with the lawyers. He's asked me that question 10 times, by the way. 10 times, at least 10 times.
I've got a question.
Okay.
So with the banks, they're going to give us certain restrictions that we're not allowed to, for instance, refinance or.
Yes, yes, all the above.
Okay, but we get our banks to. Can we get our banks to? Well, we will get our banks to negotiate the contract, but we won't scare the banks off. We don't want them to sell the notes. We want to be able to refinance. We want to get.
Well, you can't tell them that you can't sell the numbers. No, they will not agree to that covenant. I guarantee you that if you default, we're restricted that we can't sell
So
the
they can, so they can only sell the note if you default. Okay.
Or you do some, like the embarrassment clause. Now, one of the guys asked you, do you want to buy notes? Are you the one that?
No,
Okay, okay, rocks. You know, they will ask you. When they ask you, you know they're in default, and you know what you want to know. And the key question is, have you written them off? Yes or no? If they've written them off, that means they have no value on the balance sheet to them, and they're not as desperate. They're going to shop around and get the best deal. If it's just prior to writing them off, just the last 30, 45 days, they're still hope springs eternal, and they want to reduce the write-off. Because when you write off a loan, you write off 100% of it. If it's a $5 million deal and you're writing off, and you're saying you cannot collect, you're writing off $5 million. Or if it's just prior to being written off, shit, we need to sell this for 20 cents on the dollar. And then when they sell it to you for 20 cents on the dollar, then as I said yesterday and the day before, the refinancing of that asset has got to be part of the deal. Okay, fine. Okay, what are the terms you're going to refinance it on? And you want it as long out as you possibly can. Long out, and
what would you ask for in a long out, for example?
10 years. 10 years. 10 years, and you want, in that particular case, you're setting the price and the terms. I'll give you $1 million on the $5 million. And we want it over 10 years, and I want, it's like the Jamie Coyle term sheet he sent to Deloitte that they agreed on, that I was dumbfounded that they agreed on. But I want, at the end of 10 years, payable all at the end of 10 years. Interest and principal all at the end of 10 years. They'll choke. But depending on how desperate they are, they'll may say yes. Okay, no, we won't do it all at the end. Come on, Dan, get a little more realistic. Give us a break, cut us some slack. And all the bullshit they told me over the years. I said, okay, 10 years, interest only, interest payable every year, once a year. Oh, Jesus Christ, or I'd say, okay, you don't want 10 years all at the end, interest only, 15 years, paid yearly, interest, principal at the end. So I flip into 15 years from 10 to, oh, come on, then, or I'll say, interest only the first 5 years, interest and principal the next 5 years. Now that is somewhere coming within their comfort zone, just inside, okay, they're going to get some principal, even though it's not anytime soon. The worst loan is interest and principal monthly. That's the worst shit. Forget that. You don't need that. You got to remind them of this fucking thing in default. I'm not some fucking idiot that just fell off the turnip truck.